Okay. Welcome to Studio Ostoja. Today we have a very special guest, a farmer, author, and a true pioneer of regenerative agriculture, Joel Salatin from Polyface Farm in Virginia, United States. Joel has inspired people all over the world to think differently about food, freedom, and farming. His book, Everything I Want to Do is Illegal, challenges the modern system and asks some deep questions about what it means to live responsibly and freely on the land. Joel, thanks for joining us, and we are really happy to have you here in our show.
Thank you for having me. It is a real privilege and an honor to be with you today.
Thank you. So I will start from the question number one. I won't introduce you too much. For all the viewers, I will just say that all the extra information that will be down under the film once we publish that on YouTube. Now we are running the live version for the radio, and later on the YouTube file you will find the links to Joel's book, and you will also find the links to his visit in Poland, which we'll talk about at the end of that interview. That's the last part of our interview. Joel, your book's title, Everything I Want to Do is Illegal, is quite striking. What inspired you to choose that phrase?
So if you've never had a run-in with the food police, we call them the food police, you can easily think that this is outrageously sensational, or it's blown out of proportion or whatever. But my problem with the food police started when I was in high school, wanting to return to the farm full time. And we always milked a couple of Guernsey cows for our own consumption, and drank. I grew up on raw milk, drank it all the time, and we made our own butter and ice cream and cottage cheese and things. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm in high school, and I'm thinking, how do I come back to the farm full time? How do I make a living on this little farm? And at the time, I was selling at a market in town that was a Depression era market. It was left over from the 1930s and 40s. It was called the Curb Market, and it was where farmers could come in and sell directly to consumers. And because of the time, the regulators allowed us to sell without inspection, without regulations, if we joined one of the government education programs. Here it was like Extension Homemakers Club for women. It would be like the Cattlemen's Association for people that had cattle, the sheep organization, the horticulture organization. If you were involved in a government educational program, they would let you sell at this market without any inspection. And so I joined 4-H. I was in high school. I was a teenager and joined 4-H. They said, "Oh, that'll work." So I joined, and at the Curb Market, we were able to sell completely uninspected beef by the cut. Ground beef. We could sell chicken and pork and buttermilk and cheese and butter. The only thing we couldn't sell was fluid milk, but there was a huge demand for good raw grass-based fluid milk. And at that time, I said, I could hand milk 10 cows, and people have hand milked 10 cows in the past. That's not a terrible thing. And I could sell the milk to neighbors, to friends and neighbors that wanted it, and I could make a living on this farm. There was only one problem with it. That was illegal. It was illegal to sell raw milk. And so I ended up, well, I can't do that. So what am I going to do? And so I had a penchant for writing and communication. So I said, well, this was then by that time, now I'm at the Nixon era, Watergate. President Nixon, went down ignominiously in, his corruption with the Watergate scandal.
But that was like 80s?
This is the mid 70s, 1970s.
Mid 70s, okay.
Yeah. And so I said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll become a journalist, and I'll find my my mole, my deep throat, and expose the next president, bring him down, write a bestseller, and then I can come back to the farm full time. That was kind of a path. So what I'm getting at is I have never gotten over the fact that the regulations kept me off the farm for several years. Um, I was happy to milk 10 cows. Neighbors were happy to buy the milk, but there was a bureaucrat in between the transaction. And I've never gotten over the fact that the regulations kept me out of the business. And in fact, today they are keeping hundreds of thousands of wannabe farmers out of the business by making prejudicial regulations that make it difficult to enter the marketplace for a small farmer.
So that was really the first time you realized that the system was standing in the way of
Yes.
doing what
Yeah.
you believe it was right, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
S- So in our case, we have more freedom till half of the 90s, and actually once we joined the EU, so it's around 2005, 10, it's when the regulation keeps coming and coming. And because I remember I am a little bit younger than you are because I'm in my 40s right now, but I remember when I was 10, 12, 20, you can buy a raw milk from any farmer in Poland, or you can really go to any farm and they will have all the stock, and there was beaten at the farm, and you can buy parts of the beef, pig, sheep, whatever you want, till half of the 90s. We were at the communists back in the days, so it was even the opposite way. You have ladies that were traveling around from the villages to the cities, and they were bringing parts of the products directly to customers to their houses. So you
Sure.
have to have a lady that it was illegal, but not because of the farming procedure. It was more illegal because of the communist regime. So it was a different regulations. Yeah, that it was more about sale by a third party than sale by the farmer. Okay, so when those barriers appear, do you feel angry or more determined to prove that another way was possible?
Yeah. Yeah. And so here we were, trying to deal with this. And so then I got out of college, and what we found was a loophole. There was one really great loophole for poultry. It was Public Law 90-492, and it was an exemption. You could do 20,000 chickens without inspection and sell them direct. You couldn't sell them to a third party, but you could sell them directly to,
Mhm.
directly to buyers, to what we call end users. And
Mhm.
so I began raising chickens, and literally the reason that we went to chickens instead of dairy was because of the food regulations. And so I started raising the chickens, and was able to make a living with the chickens because of that loophole. And we were selling beef and different things. And then one year, the regulators said, "Well, we've decided to make your chickens illegal too." And I said, "Well, why?" They said, "Well, because the law says you have to have screens on your window, on your windows at your processing facility." And I said, "Well, we don't have any windows in our processing facility." They said, "Well, since it says you have to have screens in your windows in your processing facility, that assumes that you have a wall. So clearly you should have." I said, "Well, it doesn't say I have to have a wall. It just says if I have a wall and I have a window in it, I have to have a screen." And so we went round and round, and I got our elected officials involved, sought legal counsel, and we actually won that round. And then then we were back up and running. And then one year they came and they impounded down at the slaughterhouse. They impounded all of our beef, which was half of our income for the year. And we're going to put us out of. They said you're selling illegal meat. I said, "No, we're not." I said, "We're selling the animals live, and they're just having them processed, at the processor for themselves. We're selling it live." They said, "Well, if your price is based on a dead weight, on carcass weight, then it's automatically an after a non-live sale." And I said, "Well, you know, people make arrangements with stuff all the time, you know, before things actually are consummated. And they said, well, no, it's going to be it's illegal anyway. So they parked outside our house for a week. And again, we got our elected officials and people involved, and we won again that round. But the stress and the emotional trauma of the state coming in on you, putting you through that, it was a big deal. And there have been a couple other things, and then there are things that we would like to do, like, you know, we would like to make chicken pot pies for our customers, but you know, you can't make a chicken pot pie unless you have an inspected kitchen. Well, an inspected kitchen is a prohibited use in an agriculture zone. We live in an agriculture zone, and so.
But like a restaurant kitchen, can you open a restaurant on your farm and then you can inspect your kitchen? No,
not without a special use permit, which requires a hearing before the government officials to give you an it's called an exception or an exemption to the you know, to the code. One of the ones that was not even about food. It was about sawmilling. We found out that they were going to make it illegal in an agriculture in an area called zoned agriculture to have a sawmill, and we have a sawmill, and so I went down when they had the hearing and said, look, you know, we've got 700 acres. That would be what 300 hectares of forest, wonderful hardwood forest. We have a sawmill. We should at least be able to mill our own logs.
To do your own wood, yeah.
Yeah. And they said, okay, well, we'll allow that, but you can't turn it into a chair. If you turn it into a chair, that's manufacturing. So they
only for your own wood without further improvement.
That's right. That's right. So we can now cut a tree and mill the wood, but we can't turn the wood into a table or a chair because that's manufacturing. So, you know,
they are so way more strict than we are. You know, we still have much more freedom than you guys. Really.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that how far you are regulated. So tell me, I want to run a little bit this question fast because I have a lot of questions to you. I really want people to get to see what you are doing in the much bigger scale, and for you to also understand our point. We are 90% normal people and 10% farmers in Poland are watching the Radio Wnet right now. So we are probably 10 to 90% they are more like customer sides, and the 10% is the real farmers from all around the country. Right. So tell me, what's your first in your book you describe some regulations that make life almost impossible, like you just told us a few. Do you think which one is the most absurd, or it's most symbolic from your point of view? Is the wood or anything?
Well, I think I think what's absurd is making inspection or having the government involved at all in a transaction between neighbors. If we're neighbors and we know each other and of our own free will, we want to engage in a food transaction, whatever it is, whether it's a ribeye steak or a chicken pot pie or quiche, you know, from eggs, or tomato soup. We should be able to engage in a food transaction without asking the government's permission, period. I don't care who it is, where you are. I'm not suggesting that we'd be able to export or put it in grocery stores and have third-party sales and things like that. I'm just saying direct sales between two...
On the farm, yes.
Yeah, between two well, even not on the farm. I mean,
Even just neighbors, yes.
yeah, just neighbors. Maybe maybe I I deliver to your house or something. Okay,
Okay.
so the point is that when two adults as voluntary consenting adults want to exercise freedom of food choice, they should be able to do so without asking the government's permission. That's as basic. In other words, I should be able to choose where I get my food, and as a farmer, you should be able to sell whatever you produce, including value added. You see, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, as we say in English,
Uh-huh.
used to do their trades on farms.
Yes,
The so in
from
America,
scratch.
yeah, in the U.S., the farm gate, the farmer 80 years ago got half of the retail dollar. When somebody went to a grocery store and bought something, the farmer got 50 cents of the dollar spent.
Yes.
Today, the farm gate the farm gate value percentage is only 8%, 8 cents on the dollar.
Okay.
So
it's nothing.
it's nothing. The truth is that the erosion of the farm gate price is one of the reasons why farmers simply they're not getting the dollars, and they're not getting the money anymore that they used to get as a higher percentage of the retail value. And most of that is because there is so much convenience food now. People are buying convenience food that's already cooked, it's already processed, it's already packaged, and all that cooking, processing, and packaging, and marketing and distribution
Takes 90%.
yeah, takes the 92%. And so farmers, if we can bring that portion back to the farm, now suddenly there's enough money at the farm gate to actually stay in business.
Yeah, we have a better situation, as I told you, because we have this. It's called in Polish. It's called rolniczy handel detaliczny. In English, I would translate it to agricultural retail. So this is exactly what you are talking about. We can still process a lot of foods. We have to register as that, okay? But once we register, we have only area of our sale which is restricted. So we can only sell in our region and in the capitals of regions next to our regions. For example, if my farm is in Warmia in Mazury, I can sell to Warsaw or to Gdańsk, and I sell in my whole region. So and I can actually make products of what I'm producing, but only if I'm producing that. I cannot buy the products from my
Yes.
neighbor.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so if I have a chicken, I can kill the chicken. Of course, I have to have a right kitchen. So they check my kitchen once, and if my kitchen is okay, then for 3-5 years they don't check it again, and I can proceed. So in that way, we have still a little bit of hope. But do you have any signs of hope for government, any governments and regions that are starting to support small local regenerative farmers in the United States? Any hope there?
Yeah, no, I don't see the trajectory is worsening. I don't see it. I don't see it get better. Now we have passed numerous cottage food laws, so there's been some hope. There's been some good progress in some of the different states, but the problem is that the dairy and the meat and the poultry are all regulated at the federal level, the national level. And so the freedoms that some of the localities and states are trying to carve out for themselves are being usurped, or are being whatever, prohibited.
Crushed.
Yeah, by the national government. And so we don't. So and of course the animal protein, the dairy, poultry, and meat are 50% of the consumer dollar. Only 25% is dry goods, sugar and flour and things like that,
Yeah.
and 25% is produce, potatoes and and tomatoes and things like that.
Okay.
50% is animal protein. So if we're going to actually, create opportunity in the food farm sector for the farmer to get the value added component, it's going to have to be the animal. It's going to have to be the animal component. I mean, you can sell a tomato anywhere, but you can't sell a sausage or bacon,
Or chicken.
or chicken. Yeah, yeah. And so that's where the problem lies. And then of course, so a lot of the cottage food laws are making it okay, for example, to make tomato soup and sell tomato soup. But as soon as there's any meat in it, that's where they come after you.
Okay. So, in your opinion, is bureaucracy mainly a result of bad intentions or good intentions taken too far?
I think all of this is good intentions taken too far. So
Okay.
if we go back, 100 years or 150 years, before there were supermarkets and big consolidated grocery stores and industrial
Delivery lines, yeah.
yeah. Before all that, then people knew where their food, well, they grew a lot of their food, but they also knew where their food was coming from because they were getting it from the locality. They were getting it from nearby places. And so people knew who the cheaters were, who the fraudulent were, who the dirty folks were.
Okay.
Well, as industrial ag came on, the consumer fear of, well, what's going on behind that security fence? What's going on behind that guard tower? And so they asked for government oversight over these great big industrial consolidated businesses to protect their interests. We want to make sure we know what's happening outside that fence. Well, what they didn't know was that the regulators and the industry were going to go to bed together. So
Yeah.
instead of becoming
Transparent and
insurers of integrity,
yeah.
instead they became colluders, collusion in corruption, and that's what has developed, and that's where we are today.
Okay, so how can we rebuild the trust between farmers and consumers without depending on endless paperwork and official certifications today?
Well,
Basic
I mean, you can either go underground and be illegal, you can do civil disobedience. There are people who are labeling their food as pet food and selling it as pet food, and that loophole is being starting to be closed.
I heard about the churches also that have
Sure, yeah. There have been some
food
efforts
church.
to start a food church. There again, that is here. The problem is that all those things are very cumbersome. If you have to pay a subscription or join something or whatever in order to get your food, it's very clunky, and
Yeah.
and also government regulators are really watching to try to catch a slip up. For example, I had a lady just contacted me. She's a dairy farmer in Wisconsin, and a 2-generation farm. Her dad is 70 and she's 40, and they farm together. She's married, has family, and so it's a multi-generation farm situation. Well, they got so tired of trying to comply with all the regulations that they just said, forget it. We're going to start a private membership association, a PMA. And that's where you pay a membership fee to join a private club, and that private club then entitles you to the amenities that private club offers. It started around golf courses back years ago, and so anyway, they started this PMA. Well, a guy came in and he wanted to buy something. She said, well, you got to join the PMA. She gave him the paperwork to join. Well, next week he comes back and she's not there. Her father's there. And he says, I want to buy some stuff. And your daughter, I was here last week and your daughter gave me the paperwork for the PMA. Well, the dad assumed that she had, that he had filled out the paperwork, because that's the way he presented it. And so he sold him a pound of butter. Immediately, the police came and arrested them for selling illegal food. It was a trap, because the dad thought that the guy had signed the paperwork. The guy led him to believe he had signed the paperwork, and he hadn't, and dad didn't check it. So
he got into trouble.
Yes, yeah, so it's an extremely, it's back to who was it? Karl Marx said, "Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime." If you want to get someone, there's enough rules and regulations that somehow you can find something that's being violated, and you can get them.
Okay, so many young people dream of farming, but feel crushed by regulation, cost. What message would you give them? Is there any hope for them?
Oh yes, there's a lot of hope, because there are a lot of things that you can do, and so yeah, I am definitely not a pessimistic person. I'm very optimistic, and even within the system. So we have our beef processed at an inspected processing facility. We have our pigs processed at an inspected processing facility. And so, as far as I know, right now, everything we do is legal. I'm not sure, but I think it is. And so the wonderful thing is that more and more people are realizing the health benefits of good food, and the health liabilities of industrial food. And so the market has never been better. The consumer interest in good food has never been better, never been higher.
It's skyrocketing, really. Yeah.
It is skyrocketing here, because the information of how bad the industrial food is getting out through programs like this, through podcasts, through Substack, through other non-mainstream media means. And so people are waking up and seeing, and of course COVID was a huge wake up call to the corruption and the you can't trust the government, that's for sure. And so more and more people are realizing that they can't trust the government, and they can't trust the conventional narrative, whether it's medical, agricultural, economic, or whatever it is. And so the desire to actually come outside the conventional system is huge. So yes, this is a very exciting time to join the clean, what I call the clean food system, because the interest is so high.
So last question from that part of question will be: can small local food systems coexist with globalized food corporation, or will they always be in conflict?
Well, I think I don't know.
Like you can have a farmer markets next to a supermarket, right? That's totally possible.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that as this movement continues to mature, we may actually see the supermarket reduce, the sales at supermarkets reduce, while the sales at at farmers markets and on farm sales actually increase. And if we actually freed up food access for more farmers, that stranglehold, that grip of the industrial food system would definitely loosen a lot.
Plus, we have to educate the consumer because this is at the end of the day, this is their choice. They are choosing with their money, right? So if
Yes.
they are not focused enough to go and find the farmer that will feed them, and they will go to the supermarket, then we are losing basically.
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
so what do you hope readers will take away from everything I want to do is illegal? What's your like the biggest thing you want to really
Yeah.
put into to hearts and heads of the people?
Yeah. I think the main big takeaway is how little choice the how little choice you find in the marketplace based on these regulations. There's, you know, the single biggest issue that I have in presenting this to the normal person is, what do you mean I don't have choice? I walk into the supermarket and the shelves are full of stuff and there's all these pretty bright labels and brands and different things. And what do you mean I don't have choice? And so, the whole conversation starts with helping people to understand that everything in the supermarket, it might have, you know, this this set of green beans might have a red label and that might have a yellow label, but they all came out of the same farm, the same field. This set of sausage, and I'm using sausage because I'm talking in Poland, and Polish sausage is still, world famous, kind of like Virginia ham.
We
Virginia ham,
love our sausage.
Virginia ham is known worldwide. Polish sausage, of course, is known worldwide. And in the industrial system, there might be 10 different brands, but it all came off the same farm and out of the same manufacturing facility.
Same
So that,
processing facility.
yeah, same processing plant. So the thing that we notice here is whenever there's some food recall because of Listeria, Campylobacter, E. coli, some such thing.
Yeah.
They list the brands. Here are the recalled brands, and there's like 20 brands of ground beef or something, and well, if that's what's being recalled from this
20
facility,
brands.
it all came out of the same spigot.
Exactly.
And so that's not a lot of choice. So what the number one thing I want people to understand from the book is how much more choice we could have if we actually allowed food freedom to exist, so that it was way more accessible, and we would have all sorts of innovative and creative recipes and procedures and production processing models to come to the marketplace.
We ecological farmers and with the bio-certified, we actually allowed to control our own food all the time. So we are not afraid of competition and we're not afraid to be checked. It's more about the freedom to deliver that to the customer and to compete with the system, basically. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what I trying. The system is trying to regulate more because they are scared of our competition.
Yes.
Now we have a big fight in Poland for our agriculture, and this is a great fight because from one way we have Ukraine, which is a huge producer with huge corporations, thousands of hectares, and the size and the scale is not comparable to our ag. And as you noticed, our sausage is world famous, and because why it's happening, because we have thousands of old places that are still doing the sausage, and they're buying the pig from the local farmer that their father knows and grandfather, and this is the same supplier for like 100 200 years. So and then you can get the taste much better than if we all get one supplier. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So if you could change just one law tomorrow, what would it be?
So yeah, if I could change one thing tomorrow, it would be this. I would issue a food emancipation proclamation. And if you don't know American history, in 1860 to 1865, the U.S. fought a bitter civil war over numerous things, but one of the things that was fought over was slavery, and when Abraham, and so in 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued, the president issued a what he called the Emancipation Proclamation, and he basically freed all the slaves in the South, in the rebelling states, in the Confederacy, and it's called Emancipation Proclamation. Well, I'm taking that same basic concept and saying, right now our food system is enslaved to a regulatory structure that keeps farmers from being able to to market into it, and it keeps consumers locked out of being able to participate in a local, a more local, stable, secure food system.
High quality.
Higher quality,
much higher quality.
Yeah, not only higher quality, but relationally oriented, as opposed to just nameless, faceless, anonymous label. And so here we are. With this food system that's shackled to the regulatory environment that hurts both ends of the spectrum. It hurts the farmer and it hurts the ultimate buyer, the customer in both sects. So a food emancipation proclamation would say, in essence, if two people want to come together and engage in a food transaction, it's none of the government's business. They should be able to engage in that transaction. And if we did that, thousands and thousands and thousands of farmers would quickly enter the food marketplace. Prices would drop, and the choice, the available choice in the marketplace would exponentially rise, and all parties would benefit. The only people that would be hurt by such freedom would be the current oligarchy of the great big industrial food processors and systems,
plus the medic business.
Those would be the ones that would be hurt. But my heart doesn't bleed for them. They'll either survive or they'll change their ways.
Yes, I totally agree.
Or go bankrupt.
Which are, what if we get so much freedom as you're saying? This is their future. There's no other. So, was there ever a moment when doing something illegal actually felt morally right to you? Because it looks, from what you are saying, it's the only way to go illegal, but on the same way feel morally that you're fighting the tyranny.
I'll answer that with a story. So one day we're eating dinner at our house, and there's a knock on the front door, and I go up, and there's a gentleman there, probably your age. He's mid to late 40s, and he's holding his wife in his arms. She's she's like 80 pounds, looks like a skeleton. And he says, he's got this desperate look in his eye. He says, the doctor says if my wife doesn't get toxin-free meat, she's going to die. Can you help me? And I said, absolutely, we can help you. And it was literally just a few days later that these, I call them the food police, showed up at our house and said that we had to stop butchering chickens because we were in an open air facility and it was inherently unsanitary. And I looked at those fellas and I told them the story about this guy that showed up at our front door, carrying his wife, and it obviously the meat that the government officials were saying were inspecting and certifying as safe to eat, that meat was killing his wife. And I looked at the bureaucrats and I said, so this can you can either make this difficult or easy. But I can tell you right now, that lady is going to get our meat. And you can either make it very difficult for her or you can make it easy for her. It's completely up to you. You know, like the old Chinese proverb about the wise man who had the egg in his hand, and he asked the little boy, um, you know, which hand, that he had a bird in his hand, and which hand was it in, and the little boy, who was wiser than the old man, said that it's in your hand to determine. If he picked the hand that the bird wasn't in, then of course the boy would be wrong. If he picked the hand that the bird was in, the man would let it fly and say he was wrong. And so the little boy called his bluff and said, it's in your hand. And I basically did that to the bureaucrats. I said, it's in your hand to make this easy or hard. You can take me to jail. You can, you can do whatever you want to, but that lady's going to get her meat. And they backed off at that point. It was pretty dramatic, actually, to see the change that it came over them. They were used to everybody bowing and saying yes, sir, and no, sir, and assuming that they were correct. And to be defied like that was just not in their, in their ball of tricks. And so a lot of the conversation changed after that. And so that's an example of where I was willing to, as they say here, go to the mat, in wrestling. I was willing to go to the mat for what I knew was right, and what that lady had. By the way, that lady did begin eating our meat. She got well and outlived her husband. So
that's a great story.
So there you go.
That's a great story. So that's a great story. I know the stories because the chickens I make your style. So in the chicken tractors, I have a lot of old clients that are around 80, 85. And usually their kids, their sons and daughters come to me to buy the chickens. And they say, these are the only chickens on the market that my parents can eat, and they don't get sick after eating. And if they buy any other chicken, even organically certified chicken, but in the supermarket, they had some kind of things on the hands, on the face, and here there's nothing. So the chickens need light and they need good food, and they become great chickens. So I totally agree that this is something we all need. So
I'll tell you since you gave me that good affirmation, I'll give you a nice Polish story from here in the U.S. So we have there's a Polish community living in New York City, and
there's a lot of us.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of you there, and this one young man, his parents came to the U.S. when he was about 8, and he remembered as a child, all the good food in Poland, especially the meat, especially Polish sausage. And so, when he got here, he grows up, he becomes a teenager. And as he gets to be 18, 19, he's realizing this American food is horrible. And he begins this deep yearning for meat that was like he remembered in Poland when he was a little boy on his grandparents' farm. And so he begins searching around New York. And he draws out, 50 miles and looks, and he tries, food from within 50 miles, and nothing helps. Drew out 100 miles and went. So this is a multi-year process. He's got a couple of uncles that are here with him, and they're searching, and they're going to farms, and they're trying to find sausage. They're trying to find meat that's like what they had in Poland back when he was a little kid. Well, now he's in his mid-20s, and the line has gone out about 300 miles, and he's still looking. And he ended up finally at our place. And when he got that, suddenly he realized, this is like Poland. This is like home. And so that's an attribution to Poland. Let me give you a little bit of affirmation there too, that became the standard. And that group now, they actually have a 2-car garage that they've turned into an underground illegal meat fabrication facility. And we now go about once a quarter up there to that whole community. Now they buy a whole truckload not a tractor trailer load, but a box truck load
A
of
bus,
a
like
bus, a
yeah,
bus load,
yeah.
of stuff. About once a quarter, we go up there with this delivery, and they get together in this 2-car garage. They've got sausage makers and band saws and shrink wrap and all that, and they put on Polish music, and they do their polkas, and they have this Polish party as they package and make Polish sausage from our animals in
For your input, yeah.
right in New York City. Yeah.
That's great. That's great to hear. It's like Italians, yeah, in the movies, of course.
Yeah.
So we are now moving, very funny way, but we're moving directly to your visit in Poland, because we used to talk about Polish community in the United States, but I know you're coming to Poland in March, and tell us what's bringing you here. What's your plan, and how I know that probably the books have also the impact, because we have 2 books in Polish already translated and on sale in our Polish market. But what else? Can you tell us a little bit more? What brings you here?
Yeah. Well, I think you say his name, Jan.
Yes, Jan.
Jan.
Yeah.
Is it Jan? See, I don't speak Polish, so I've been trying to figure out how to. Is it
Jan?
Jan Vihor?
Jan. Yes, a few.
Yeah. Okay. So he has been translating and publishing these books in Polish, and he is organizing a Health Without Medicine festival in how do you say it? Katowice?
Katowice.
Katowice. Okay, Katowice.
Yeah, I will make sure I put all the dates and all the venues in the below. But please try to advertise it.
Yeah, sure. Katowice, March 7 next year, next spring.
Yes, 26. Yes.
Yes, in 26. And after that, I'll be doing 3 day-long seminars on 3 different farms throughout Poland. I'm not sure where all those farms are. That'll probably
the last one is near Ostoja. You're gonna be 20 kilometers away from my farm. So you're gonna be very close by to my farm. I might ask Jan on the way so you can stop by, and I'll cook a great dinner for you guys from your style raised chickens.
That'd be wonderful. I can't wait to enjoy your good local Polish food. When I go places like that, when you ask somebody about American food, what's the first thing that comes to mind about American food? I've been all
hamburger.
Yeah, McDonald's. McDonald's is the
not really hamburger in Poland. McDonald's. Yes, you see, we have Polish people in Poland. McDonald's entered to our scene in like 97 or 96. It was in the 90s. But we know much earlier from all the movies and from all the cultural songs that the hamburger is the thing from United States. Okay, but then it's McDonald's. Yes, then you're right. The next next thing will be McDonald's.
Yeah, but in other places of the world, everywhere, they have this wonderful, local cuisine, from antiquity, long ago.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to go and get, and get the local fare. So I'm very much looking forward to that when I'm in Poland.
Hey, and I give you one more tip. You have to, in Poland, it's not just local, it's more regional. So we have many regions, and each region will have totally different traditions and totally different food. So for example, in the north, where we have mountains, in the south we have mountains, because Poland is a little bit crazy. We have seaside in the north and the mountains in the south. So this is a little bit inconvenient, but we have this great tradition of mountain peoples that raise how do you call it?
Sorry, you call it in English.
The thing on you can farm, this one.
Oh, a sheep.
A
sheep.
sheep, yeah, oh, sheep.
Yes, sheep.
I forget the sheep word. Yes, so there is this great tradition of sheep raising in the mountains. Yeah, this is normal in every
Yes.
place around the world, and they have so much different cheese and different other like local made products. I really recommend to try. And then when you come more to our parts, there is of course a lot of pierogies, a lot of a lot of different things made mixed meat with different bases. Basically, there's many ways you can add
Sure.
potatoes, because potatoes are also a
Oh, yeah.
big thing in Poland. Then of course we do a lot of different types of wheats and barleys and all that type of stuff, and we do flour of them, and then we mix those flours. And the other thing you have to try in Poland is Polish bread, because it's nothing comparable to US. And I gotta say that because I lived there for 2 years, and this is the biggest thing I was really dreaming of at night was Polish bread,
Sure.
because you
Yeah.
can find a good meat like on the farm like yours,
Right.
but finding this good bread is extremely difficult.
The
So
the Polish bread is heavy, correct? It's heavy bread.
it's in
Dense.
Poland there is 150 types of breads, from really small white soft to very heavy breads made out of I don't know the English word, but we make the thing you made the bread of in the natural way. It can be like 100 and 150 years old, so it's a mix
Oh,
of
wow.
water. Yeah, so
Yeah,
our grandmothers.
sourdough.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Sourdough.
That's
Sourdough.
the word,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a
So
ferment.
I have one that is 50 years old. Yeah, my family cooks
Wow.
bakes a bread on a 50 years old.
Wow.
So I have two last questions, really,
Uh-huh.
and I know we're let me see, we are in 55. I promise it's gonna be 1 hour, so I have 5 more minutes. So, what message would you have to share with Polish conventional farmers? Because Polish ecological and regenerative farmers in Poland, they are doing good, but conventional farmers, those who take enormous risk, work incredibly hard, and often see very little profit in return. Do you have any message to like conventional farmers, especially in our country?
Yeah, so the main message that I have is you've got to look at nature as pattern. And when you look at nature as pattern, there are several things that you see. One is that fertility is built by decomposing carbon, decomposing biomass, whether that's grass, trees, whatever. But fertility is not built with chemical fertilizer. It is built with decomposing carbon. So you have to look at your carbon cycle, your carbon economy, and begin doing that. The second thing is that it's diversified, and so single product farms are never resilient.
Yeah.
They're never as sustainable as a farm with diversified income streams. And then the third
One
thing,
mistake.
yeah, and then the third thing would be to try to tap into some of the value added retail dollar, even if it's just for a portion, even if you just take a few bushels of something or a few pounds of something and try to convert it to retail to begin tapping into the middleman portion of that grocery dollar. So those are kind of the three,
Plus,
those are kind of three things that almost anyone can do anywhere to move their needle in a better place.
and in the effect of that, you also start building the relation with the client directly. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not just taking off the middleman, but they also start to understanding the other side of the market, not just the producer, but also the consumer.
Yeah.
So my final question is: what do you hope your visit to Poland will inspire? More conversation or more action?
Well, both. I mean, normally you talk about it before you do it, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, so I want to do both for sure. But my dream would be that as a result of that visit, there are hundreds and hundreds of young people who realize there is a pathway to enter, and that they will enter as as caretakers, as stewards of the land, and build soil and build nutrient density, and start building connections and relationships with customers to join a symbiotic team, so that farmers and consumers are not in contention, but actually in camaraderie, and that would be a great outcome.
So it was a great pleasure to have you here in Ostoja studio, which in straight translation is a refuge studio, because me and my farm is the refuge for nature, and we do exactly what you were talking about. We do work with our land and try to regenerate it. We work with animals, so I'm really happy, and it was a pleasure and a great honor to have you in my show. I really want to thank you for all the great books you wrote, and that you are spreading the great message around the world and inspiring people like me and many others that are starting their regenerative farms all over Europe, Poland, and all over the world. So I really cross fingers for that. So there's going to be more of us, and
yes,
we'll be able to push the needle on the other side, so back to how it used to be, not how it is right now. At the end, I'm gonna say that I will put all the links to your books and to all the visit details that we're gonna have in March. So March 2026. I'm really waiting to have you here in Poland and inspiring us and other farmers, and hopefully helping us move some farmers from the conventional side to regenerative side, and also inspiring young people that want to enter farming. And you actually did that already. I think there are already a couple farmers in Poland that did take inspiration directly from your movies and from your books. So, bless you for that. And that's great. We look forward to welcoming you here in Poland, and we wish you all the best on your journey. So I think that's the end for today. I hope to talk with you maybe in February, if you find time. Once we know all the details about the visit, we'll know more about the workshops, then maybe we can chat one more time, so we can then inform people more about what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, what you're going to be talking about, what are the scenarios of different places. And that's it. That's all for today. Thank you very much, and you have a great day and evening probably today. You are morning, right? You have morning.
We're at morning here.
Yeah.
You're way ahead of us, but thank you for the opportunity, and I very much look forward to meeting you when I come to Poland.
All right, thanks. See you soon.
Take care.
Dla wszystkich zainteresowanych warsztatami i wykładami Joela Salatina w Polsce podajemy linki w opisie pod filmem. Słuchaliście Studia Ostoja. Bądźcie na bieżąco, pozostańcie na ziemi i dbajcie o ziemię, która dba o was. Dziękuję bardzo i do zobaczenia.